Hello. So I just wanted to make a part two of We Are the Ones that we've been waiting for, because I want to emphasize as well that um, while we are the ones who have to make the change, it's not that we are like without support. We are supported by our spiritual support team. Okay. These are beings like how in the Bible it talks about a great crowd of witnesses. Yeah, they are beings in the spiritual world, in other dimensions, who have our best interest at heart and also have the best interest of humanity at heart. Okay. It's like when I talked about how if you're a scuba diver, you're under the water and then there's the boat at the top that's making sure that you get oxygen. That's your spiritual support team. So, unfortunately, we've also been indoctrinated to disconnect from these beings and to see them as something evil, to the point where, in some religions they get called demons, right? But they are there. And um, also, what we need to acknowledge is that sometimes uh, the the negative forces who seek to control humanity can actually hijack that interaction that you have with your spiritual support team. So you'll have maybe a situation where you feel like your conscience is judging you, right? And that you need to sort of hide aspects of yourself from your conscience. Your conscience is just that part of you that is constantly in the spiritual world that feeds you information and intel, it's your intuition, right? So if you feel like your conscience is judging you, probably what you'll find is that all the negativity you've experienced in your life has hijacked that position. So that negative voice that you hear, it's not actually your higher self or your conscience. It's negativity that you've been fed and programmed and conditioned to accept as truth that's hijacked that frequency. Okay. So you need to just talk to your higher self and talk to your spiritual support team. How do I unhijack this frequency so that I am hearing the true loving voice of my higher self and of my spiritual support team? Because your higher self, your spiritual support team know that you have come into this world and have forgotten your true spiritual nature, and that there's a lot of fumbling and messing up and mistakes you're going to make, but that those are all part of the learning and growth process that you're going through in the process of remembering who you are so that you can carry out whatever mission you have on this planet. So there's no need for us to have this condemnatory approach to ourselves or to each other, really, unless obviously, these are people who are willfully ignorant and willfully hurting people. It's one thing for like to say, forgive them, Father, for they not know what they do. Yes, if people don't know what they're doing and they're messing about and they're being nonsense and they're being destructive, it's one thing to forgive. But when people willfully do evil, knowing what they're doing, let them be ostracized and shunned. Let them be rejected. Okay. Let us abandon the systems that they've set up because there's no satisfying those people. They have placed themselves beyond redemption. You know what I'm saying? So your spiritual support team is there for you 24/7, 365. Whatever information you need, you can close your eyes and ask, and you will get answers. And you need to trust those answers. We've been conditioned to distrust anything that has to do with our own access to the Creator. We've been taught that we need to ask such and such a person in a position of power in such and such an institution to intervene for us and help us, that they must come to our aid, that we need to vote for such and such to come and seek deal with the situation, that we need to go to such and such's church or institution to get the answers. No, they are within you. You and I, all of us, we have the spiritual support team, we have our own higher self, we have our creator, our source. Okay, all on our side, all rooting for us, all giving us intel, all helping us to have faith, to believe that we have the capacity to be the change makers in this planet that we need so that things can be different at the root level, you know. And so I think really, like I said before, thanking all these pioneers, all these spiritual warriors who have fearlessly and who continue to fearlessly walk this path. We ourselves need to be those people who fearlessly walk forward into a new paradigm. If we're sick and tired of how things are, we have to start making a change by choosing to use our free will to undermine the underminers of our humanity, you know. And like I said when I was quoting Tolkien, you do not need strength to defeat the darkness, but you need light. This system that thrives on the destruction of humanity cannot be defeated by force of arms. Just like it's not possible. But they are defeated when human beings embrace their free will and start to choose something different. If you wake up and you decide that you are going to no longer participate in the culture, in the consciousness that drives the economic system, that's a huge step. It might not look like anything because we're so conditioned to focus only on what we experience with our five senses. But I can tell you that in the consciousness realm, in the spiritual realm, that choice registers as a frequency, as a pulse of energy. Okay. So the more of us that we start to understand the spiritual nature of reality, because let me tell you, those other people who are running the show in such a way that it's destroying humanity, they know very well the spiritual nature of reality. They work within that realm. That's what they do. Why do you think they spend so much money in generating the show business industry with all these things that lower human consciousness, that make us stupid, that make us desensitized to so much negativity? Why do you think so much money is poured into that? Why do you think so much money is poured into celebrity gossip columns? You know what I'm saying? So that we can constantly not just only be distracted from what we're supposed to be doing, but so that we can be lowered in our frequency because we are not looking at things like how the Bible says, think of things that are pleasant and that uplift you. How much money and energy is poured into people who are there doing things that are unpleasant, that are degrading to the human beings of this planet. You know what I'm saying? Look at how sex and sexuality is made into sometimes one of the most macabre things. And yet, this is the process through which human beings are born into this earth, that children come into this world. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we have to look beneath the surface. Why is the entertainment industry the way it is? You know, why is sex so devalued? What is it that it has to be the constant target, you know, of these people or these beings who seek to keep our frequency low? There's all these things, you know, but at the same time, constantly making a decision to connect to our spiritual support team, to connect to our higher selves, the creator, which essentially we are all one, you know. It's just that there are these pockets of disharmony. And the thing is, it would be okay if there were being pockets of disharmony by themselves somewhere, but what they do is they impose themselves on people, on innocent people, and they've imposed themselves on the earth as well. And it's creating a huge imbalance, and souls are not able to evolve the way they should. They're not able to thrive the way they should. Earth should not be a place where there's poverty. There's more than enough for everyone, but there's this imbalance, and we need to correct this imbalance by getting to the root cause of what it is, you know. And like I say, our spiritual support team is there to help us with information, with guidance, encouragement, and we must tap into them because there's so much power that lies there when we accept our free will as agents of change, as the prime creators of our experience on this planet, and then with the support that we have behind the scenes in the spiritual world, shielding us from negativity, helping us to believe in ourselves, believe in the real truth that this whole reality is underpinned by a spiritual reality which is beyond the perception of our five senses, and which is what drives the actual situation on this planet, you know. So yeah, thanks for listening. Be strong, believe, and you know, try and connect as well. That's what I'd say. Try to connect with other people who believe the same way, so that you don't feel like you're alone, and going crazy with all the people around you telling you how crazy you are. All right, you're not. Thank you. Bye.